The gentleman yields. The gentleman from New York, Mr. Torres, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. On December 16th, 2023, the New York Times wrote an expose about the, quote, money machine that generates terrorism financing for Hamas. Here's a relevant excerpt from the expose. Quote, the ledgers from the computer of a senior Hamas official listed assets worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Hamas controlled mining, chicken farming, and road building companies in Sudan, 2 skyscrapers in the United Arab Emirates, a property developer in Algeria, and a real estate firm listed on the Turkish stock exchange. It continues, quote, the Israeli agents who obtained the records shared them inside their own government, and in Washington, nothing happened. So did the Financial Intelligence Unit of the United States know that Hamas had a multinational network of companies from which it could generate terrorism financing?
Thank you for the question. And just to step back one step, we were obviously very aware of that press reporting. And indeed, in March of or May of 2022, we designated the entity on the Turkish stock market because of this concern. And in that context, we talked about this significant investment portfolio and our long historic efforts to try to dismantle exactly that.
You designated it when?
Trend GYO, it was in, I think, May of 23. So this is prior to
And how long before then?
May of 22.
How long before then did you know that that company was connected to Hamas?
You know, so we go through a process where we have to develop an evidentiary package that meets legal sufficiency and work through our interagency. But we've been targeting Hamas and Hamas's financial infrastructure for literally decades. So this is something.
But specifically, the companies that were the Turkish company and the companies that were appeared in the New York Times expose. How long? When did you first receive financial intel about those companies?
Again, we get intelligence from a lot of sources. We work through the evidentiary package, and then once we have legal sufficiency, we will either move to designation or certainly have an interagency policy conversation.
I'm not clear if your answer is responsive to my question, but apart from the Turkish company, did the U.S. sanction all the known companies generating terrorism financing for Hamas?
So we have been, and I have personally been focused on going around the globe, working with Gulf partners to identify and target all financial infrastructure that touches the international financial system. As you know, Hamas has historically generated
but I don't mean to. I'm just pressed for time. Did the United States
of its money domestically?
Did the United States sanction any Hamas-connected company beyond the Turkish firm that you referenced?
Just in the last number of months, we've done 5 rounds of designations and have sanctioned a number of entities and people, and including associated with that Turkish company.
I have a question about CVC mixing, and I share the concern that the abuse of CVC mixing is a genuine security concern. But if you're a financial institution and you see a suspicious transaction involving CVC mixing, you are presently required to file a suspicious activity report with FinCEN. So what new information would you obtain under the proposed rule that you could not obtain under existing regulations?
Thank you, Representative Torres. You know, the CVC mixing notice of proposed rulemaking just closed, so I don't want to, and expect that this is a comment that we will review. We will certainly look to minimize burden and make sure that this is a new requirement, but our experience in reviewing suspicious activity reports didn't reveal that we were getting all the reporting that we thought we would expect through mixing. So regarding mixing, so this is something we will look closely at and take your point on this.
And the United States has a strategic interest in maintaining a unipolar financial system built on the US dollar. But I wonder, has America been too aggressive in the use of sanctions? Do you worry at all about the unintended consequence of incentivizing de-dollarization? You know, if the world were to shift from a unipolar financial system to a multipolar financial system, it could render U.S. sanctions far less enforceable and far less effective. So how are you thinking about that trade-off?
It's a great question. We don't think sanctions is going to lead to the de-dollarization or lead to the dollar not being an international reserve currency, but we do have gone through a process of identifying ways we can make our sanctions regime much more effective and have a new unit, the Sanctions Economic Analysis Division, to look at these questions as well. Okay.
Gentleman's time has expired. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Loudermilk, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you both for being here.